All right, so my vision when I started my barbershop 6 years ago was basically we started it just to have easier working conditions. Yeah, without going too much into the politics. I've done a short on it before, but I mentioned like why we left the shop there where we were before. But me and my business partner, there was three of us to begin with. There's two of us now. We all had an issue with how much rent we was paying 6, 7 years ago just for a chair. Even customers was telling us you could get a shop for that. And I had a vision that I didn't just want to shop on my own for the price I could get a chair for, which I could have done that. But I knew I wouldn't be able to carry out all the things I wanted to do by myself. And obviously the vision wouldn't be as grand as it would be by myself. It would take longer and I wouldn't have the support, that I've had if I tried to do it by myself. So 6 years, yes, it's been a struggle. Yes, it's been hard. But the vision was eventually to be here doing content. Because even back in '05 when I had my first barbershop when I was 21, we used to talk about having YouTube in the barbershop back then. We used to talk about having cameras in the barbershop to have our own YouTube channel back then. But I didn't have the resources, or I thought I didn't have the resources, or the people that could help me do it. Could only just talk about it. So now we're in the times where everyone's making content creation. I want to be a content creator for over 20 years now. I do watch YouTube a lot. There is a lot of inspiring people on there. I want to be one of the inspiring people on there. So now I've got a little break and I've got time to actually start some content. I've been making it for the past few weeks, but it's just been raw, uncut, unedited content just to get the ball rolling. I've done the Bouncer Challenge, so big up Bouncer every time. He done a reaction on one of my pieces of content, which was a raw piece of content. The content now is going to get a lot better because I've invested in the kit. I've took out time, I've invested in myself, so I've took a break. Obviously, I work very hard. I'm out here abroad now for the weekend, and I'm just taking a little break to reflect and also take some of the time to be constructive and make some content in peace while I've got the time, to myself. And also, I did mention this on a piece of content I made last week when I was walking the dog, but this is the part two, or this is the answer to what I said I was going to do when I had chance. But I wanted to sit down in peace and do it properly and think about who I need to big up. I said I was going to big up some of the people that's helped shape me as a person in my career, and I was going to big up some of the content creators that's inspired me, and also some real people I know in real life that's actually entered the content space. Also, I want to big them up and put some light on their thingy, then but their flowers as well. So there's a few people recently I've known that's entered the content space. The first one comes to mind is someone I went to school with. Is on YouTube now. He's known as Nomad Stee, and he's actually moved to Bangkok and he's making content about moving to Bangkok. So he's moved there probably 4, 5, 6 months ago now, and he's making good content. Um, he's also inspiring me because I know him in real life. His thumbnails look right on the content. His titles look right. And his channel looks right, you know what I mean? Especially for the age of the channel. It's a new channel and he's doing his thing. And then also Bouncer, also big up Bouncer, which I just bigged him up now. I done the Bouncer Hub Challenge, which helped me get the ball rolling on making content daily. I've done it for about 10 days every day. I probably missed about 4 or 5 days in the middle somewhere after the 10 days while I was waiting for my kit. Plus, I never had a trim, so and I was just busy at work. So this is just catching back up on where I left off, but like a bit better grade, a bit better level. So I'll pick up Bouncer. Uh, in the same sentence, I'm going to big up RTM, big up Young Spray, just for the content that he's been doing. I've been watching him a long time. And I big up some of the barbers that's in the content space that's been doing it for a while as well. 360 Jeezy. I don't watch his content that often because I'm a full-time barber myself, but what he's doing for the barbering space and the content space is big. He's got millions of views and on his content, so that's great. And there's more barbers as well that I can't think of the names now, but obviously when I do my research, I'm going to add them back up there and I'm going to add them to the list. Barbers in real life I know that's helped me out. There's Marky's Barbers in Wolverhampton. He's in the town centre of Wolverhampton. Marky's Barbers. He's the foundation of Wolverhampton. I've worked for him probably to 4 times in my life. I worked for him at 17, 16 to 17. I worked with him when I was 28 till about 30. And I worked with him in my early 30s for a little bit as well. But, he showed me a lot, as in love for the industry, love for the things that we do. Foxy, Richard Grizzle, he's another famous barber from Wolverhampton also. He's very successful, and he showed me the business side of barbering, which I kind of still slacked off because I still kind of push, my barbering business with my passion. But I do need to get more down to the business side and be more, just cut and shut. It's not personal, it's a business. But in this industry, it does have the tendency to be more grey areas because people form personal relationships with people that they work with. So, as in getting, taken serious, or, changing rules or bringing in new policies, it can be a struggle and it can be a challenge because, it can take a while, it can take a season for people to adjust or for people to know that you're being serious about what you're trying to do. So I pick up Foxy all the time for that because he did show me, that the business side, not everyone has to be your friend. It's a very hard industry to not do that because it's a personal industry. But, and then there's my other friend Brett. He's a barber. He's a European barber, and I worked for him when I was 16 as well. He's also my big daughter's godfather. Uh, he's one of her godfathers, and he's very successful. He's retired now. He's a retired barber, and both Brett and Foxy, they're about 8, 9 years older than me, so they're approaching 50. But they've both been retired from barbering for a while, and they've done really well out of it. So I always have to take my hat off to them. Marky, he's around the same age, but he still barbers, but he loves barbering. And I've never seen anyone love barbering the way Marky loves it, other than me. But I know that with that kind of love for the industry, it can cause burnout. Yeah. So this is why I'm on a break now, and I'm trying to, settle down and try and pace out my, time on this planning for the last part now to make sure I do constructive things and there's a nice work-life balance and things that aren't like, I don't want to feel like I'm in a rat race or I'm just cutting hair all the time, because I'm not even cutting hair, for money anymore. And I've stopped doing that a long time ago. I don't cut hair and count how much money I got by the end of the day. Remember, these days, cash sales works out to about 10% of what we actually make these days because everyone pays online or pays your card. So we just cut hair. Yeah. And I'm not chasing money, I'm chasing purpose because I'm cutting hair. And the conversations I have with some of my clients or most of my clients are quite priceless. You know what I mean? So the information I've extracted from some of my clients, I've got some young clients that's really quite clever. I've got Rory. I want to big up Rory Gaskin. He was the top of his year in Oxford, and he actually graduated top of his year in Oxford in law. He's one of my regular customers. He gives me advice all the time. He's one of my counsellors. I class him as one of my counsellors. Also my accountant, Jubera, he's called JR Accounting. He's very attentive and he's very like a responsive accountant. He gets hands on and helps you do things quickly. So thankful for him. And then my other client, Saiful Islam. Saiful works for HMRC, very up there. He doesn't have to talk to no one at work and he gives me advice about things all the time. So big up these people. Also, we got my business partner, Rowan Farrell. I couldn't do the business I've got on the scale I've got it at now without him. But we've had the place 6 years now, and now I'm trying to get us to the next level. So we're not just stuck. And I want to say stuck, I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean stuck as in, we've got here now, and like we basically like been here for 6 years. So now it's like, what's next? So I want to move on to what's next. The world's changing, as you see all the time. World news is scary. So, choose your people carefully, appreciate your people, embrace your people. And when you got a chance, give people their flowers. Obviously, this is what YouTube's for. This is what I see a lot of people doing on YouTube as well. Bigging up people that don't get the shine that they should get on their daily stuff that they're doing daily. You know what I mean? So we're doing this, like a lot of us do this industry daily without getting any credit or praise. We just do it. But really, when you check out the impact, like for instance, if I'm sick and I take the weekend off work, or Mark is sick, everything's upside down. People can't get their haircut, everything stops. So we really have to take time out and check out the significance of what we do ourselves in the barber industry and any industry that you're in. You need to deep the significance of it. So now I'm going on to a different subject. Yeah, but I'm going to go on to it anyway. The subject is, and I was talking about it recently because it brought it back up to me, that the country, England, when it was Brexit, just over 10 years ago, I remember I was I was like a busy bee. I was rushing around doing stuff, and I was having staff meetings in places I didn't even work because I'm putting people together saying, I think that part of the reason, and I don't want to run down England, but part of the reason the country's going the way it is because everyone's lost the concept that you got to have a purpose when you work somewhere. So when you're working somewhere, like for instance, there was a story I had a rant about on Instagram. I never rant on Instagram, but there was 2 stories. I was ranting for 2 stories saying about the country because basically I'd walked into a shop, I'd asked for some gaffer tape. They said there's no gaffer tape. I walked up the same aisle and I found the gaffer tape. So I got very upset in the moment, thinking, well, if this was my business, I'd be furious because I'm saying, you like don't care if the shop even sells any gaffer tape. The shop was Pound Stretcher. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name, but the shop was Pound Stretcher. I don't know if it's still open. But I says to them, so I got everybody together, yeah, in the shop, and we had a staff meeting. Basically, I don't work there. I said, so what happens if this shop shuts down? And everybody's answer was, I'll just work somewhere else. So, and then when you work somewhere else, what happens when that place gets shut down? You just work somewhere else and get that shut down as well. So my thing is, let's move with purpose, yeah, and let's not lose the concept that if we're in a place or in a position, we're in it for a reason. So we're not just there to get paid. So we're not just part of the rat race. Because if you're only thinking about getting paid, then we're not fulfilling our purpose. We just think, oh, if I get sacked from this place, I'll just work somewhere else. Or if this business falls, I'll just start another one. We're not we're not trying to work like that. We're trying to work where each one teach one, one across the other. We can show the youth, we can show the next generation what to do. So when I say generational wealth, as I said in another piece of content, meaning wealth is subjective. So wealth could be money, wealth could be knowledge. So when I say generational wealth, let's be mindful of what we show in the next generation going down. You know what I mean? Big up each other, big up the next generation, encourage them. But the main part of it is in life, like we want to make sure that we're actually like fulfilling our purpose and we're checking what our purpose is if it aligns with us now. Because you could have a purpose from 10 years ago that doesn't align with you anymore now, so then you have to find a new one. So let's always try to be aware of that and conscious, look inwards and find out, obviously why we're here, or whatever position you're in, like why you're in that position. So these type of things is more things I'm going to be talking about in more depth, in more content. But this content was to just give people their flowers and show how people have had impact on me in my life and the people in this content space who's inspired me recently to just get up and give it a go. So I hope people like this content. Yeah, hope you feel inspired, and I'll see you all soon on the other side. Peace out.